Hollywood knew how to sell glamour. It knew how to sell fantasy. But behind the polished smiles, perfect lighting, and carefully managed headlines, some of its brightest stars were living love stories the public was never fully allowed to see. Some endured in silence, some faced ridicule, and some became proof that truth, once spoken, can outlast fear. Before we begin, we would love to hear from you. Please tell us where you are watching from and what time it is right now. We always enjoy seeing how far these stories travel. Elton John. He is a global superstar whose songs, style, and showmanship shaped generations. He found lasting love with filmmaker David Furnish after they met in the early 1990s. Their bond deepened over the years, leading to a civil partnership in 2005 and marriage in 2014. Today, they remain devoted, raising a family and sharing a life rooted in creativity and purpose. Farley Granger. He was a Golden Age actor admired for Rope and Strangers on a Train. He found enduring love with producer Robert Calhoun, and their relationship began in the early 1960s before becoming a decades-long partnership. Calhoun died in 2008, and he died in 2011 at age 85, leaving behind classic screen elegance, loyalty, and quiet grace. Cary Grant. He remains one of Hollywood's most elegant legends, linked to charm, wit, and films like North by Northwest. He shared an unusually close companionship with fellow actor Randolph Scott during the studio era, a bond long discussed by historians. Whatever history chooses to call that connection, it existed in a world that demanded performance off-screen and on. Dennis O'Hare. He is admired for fearless stage work and memorable screen performances, especially in American Horror Story. He built his life with Hugo Redwood, a designer, and their relationship grew into a lasting partnership rooted in affection and trust. They married in 2011 and later built a family life that stayed private, stable, and grounded. RuPaul. He transformed drag into global mainstream entertainment, becoming an icon of confidence, reinvention, and unapologetic self-expression. He met Georges Lebar, a painter and rancher, in 1994, and together they built a relationship far from celebrity noise. After more than 2 decades together, they married in 2017 and have remained committed while protecting much of their private life. John Glover. He is one of Hollywood's most distinctive character actors, remembered for Scrooged, Smallville, and the intelligence he brought to every role. He found lasting partnership with sculptor Adam Kurtzman, and their relationship began in 1993 before growing into a long creative life together. After many years as partners, they married in 2016 and remained devoted, private, and grounded in art. Greta Garbo. She remains one of cinema's most mysterious and revered stars, immortalized through Camille, Queen Christina, and a screen presence unlike anyone else's. She shared a deep bond with writer Mercedes de Acosta, a relationship many biographers have viewed as intimate, even if parts remain unresolved. Their connection unfolded in a time when silence often stood in for truth and survival. Victor Garber. He is admired for the elegance and steadiness he brought to Titanic, Alias, and Argo, building a career defined by range and quiet authority. He found lasting love with artist and former model Raina Andresen, and their relationship began in 2000 before growing into a private partnership. They married in 2015 and remain happily committed, living largely outside tabloid noise. George Takei. He is beloved around the world for Star Trek, where his portrayal of Hikaru Sulu made him a lasting part of popular culture. He found his life partner in Brad Altman, a businessman he had been with for decades before they married in 2008. Their relationship grew when openness still carried real risk, making that public commitment especially meaningful. George Toby. He is one of Britain's greatest classical actors, revered for I, Claudius, and decades of extraordinary stage and screen work marked by authority and grace. He found enduring love with Richard Clifford, an actor and director he has been with since the late 1970s. After many years together, they entered a civil partnership in 2006 and later married. George. She became one of America's most recognizable television personalities through comedy, film, and the success of The Rosie O'Donnell Show. She built an important chapter of her life with Kelly Carpenter, a television executive she met in the late 1990s, and together they created a family before marrying in 2004. Their relationship later ended, but its emotional significance remained. George. He was one of television's most commanding stars, forever remembered as Perry Mason and later as Ironside. Away from the cameras, he shared a long partnership with actor and producer Robert Benavides, with whom he also built ventures and a private home life. Their bond lasted for decades in an era that offered very little room for honesty. Matt Bomer. He became one of modern Hollywood's most admired leading men through White Collar, The Normal Heart, and a screen presence defined by elegance and ease. He built a lasting life with Simon Halls, a publicist, and together they created a private family centered around their 3 sons. They married in 2011 and remained devoted through public success and home life. David Hyde Pierce. He became one of television's most refined comedy talents through Frasier, where Niles Crane made him unforgettable, and through a stage career marked by intelligence and precision. He built his life with Brian Hargrove, a writer and producer he met in 1982. After decades together, they married in 2008, with privacy, humor, and mutual respect shaping their partnership. Michael Kors. He became one of the most recognizable names in fashion by building a luxury brand associated with glamour and style. He found enduring love with Lance Lepere, a former model and fashion executive, and the two built a life together while navigating success and visibility. After years as longtime partners, they married in 2011 and have remained steadily devoted. Nathan Lane. He is one of America's finest comic actors, beloved for The Birdcage, The Lion King, and a stage career filled with wit and warmth. He found enduring love with Devlin Elliott, a writer and producer, after the two built a long relationship away from constant tabloid attention. They were together for years before marrying in 2015 and remain quietly devoted. Cynthia Nixon. She became a household name as Miranda Hobbs on Sex and the City, then expanded her career through theatre, television, and political activism. She found lasting partnership with Christine Marinoni, an education and LGBTQ rights advocate, after they met in the early 2000s. Their relationship grew through shared values as much as affection, leading to marriage in 2012. Rob Marshall. He helped redefine the modern movie musical through Chicago and other visually rich films, becoming one of Hollywood's most influential directors and choreographers. He built both career and private life with John DeLuca, a producer and creative partner whose presence shaped his work for decades. Their bond blended trust, discipline, personal loyalty, and long artistic collaboration. Richard Chamberlain. He was a television heartthrob and the king of the miniseries, remembered for Dr. Kildare, Shogun, and The Thornbirds. He shared a long relationship with actor and producer Martin Rabbit, beginning in the late 1970s, when such openness could have threatened a career. He died in 2025 at age 90, leaving behind talent, screen presence, and late-found honesty. Alan Cumming. He is celebrated for fearless performances in cabaret, film, television, and stage work that made him one of entertainment's most distinctive voices. He found his partner in Grant Shaffer, an illustrator and artist, and their relationship grew through shared creativity and individuality. They entered a civil partnership in 2007 and later married in New York in 2012. Sean Hayes. He became a defining television comedian through Will and Grace, where Jack McFarland helped reshape queer visibility in mainstream American sitcoms. He found enduring love with Scott I. Senegal, a composer and producer, after they met in the mid-2000s and built a relationship mostly outside the spotlight. They married in 2014 and have remained grounded, affectionate, and refreshingly stable. John Barrowman. He is best known for Doctor Who and Torchwood, roles that made him a beloved presence in science fiction and television on both sides of the Atlantic. He found lasting partnership with Scott Gill, an architect he met in 1993. They entered a civil partnership in 2006, married in 2013, and built a life-balancing visibility with stability. Kelly McGillis. She became an international star through Witness, Top Gun, and a run of performances that made her one of the most recognizable actresses of the 1980s. Later in life, she came out publicly and entered a civil union with Melanie Lace in 2010. The relationship eventually ended, but it marked an important turning point in her personal truth and honesty. Or Anthony Rapp. He is known for the original Broadway cast of Rent and for later reaching new audiences through Star Trek, Discovery, building a career rooted in openness and emotional sincerity. He found lasting partnership with Ken Itherfall, and their relationship deepened into a shared family life. They became engaged in 2019 and later welcomed children through surrogacy. Jim Parsons. He became one of television's most recognizable stars through The Big Bang Theory, where his portrayal of Sheldon Cooper turned awkwardness into comic brilliance. He built his life with Todd Spywak, an art director, after they began dating in the early 2000s and grew together through years of success and change. They married in 2017 and remain quietly committed. Stephen Fry. He has long been one of Britain's most admired public figures, celebrated for his wit, writing, acting, and extraordinary command of language. He found love with Elliot Spencer, a comedian and photographer, after they met in 2012 and quickly formed a close bond. Fry proposed in late 2014, they married in 2015, and they remain together today. Holland Taylor. She is a celebrated actress known for stage excellence, sharp wit, and memorable work in The Practice and many other roles. She found love with Sarah Paulson, an acclaimed actress of a younger generation, and their relationship began in 2015 after years of admiration from afar. Their bond drew attention, yet it endured through affection, honesty, and mutual respect. Lee Daniels. He is a visionary director and producer whose work on Precious, The Butler, and Empire helped reshape modern storytelling with force. He was long linked to J. Hill Fisher, a stylist whose presence reflected a more open chapter in his personal life. Public information about their current status remains unclear, so that chapter is best described with care rather than certainty. Rock Hudson. He was one of classic Hollywood's most iconic leading men, remembered for Giant, Pillow Talk, and the polished masculinity studios sold to the world. In private, he was linked to Mark Christian, a former partner whose name entered public view during Hudson's final years. He died in 1985 at age 59, leaving behind glamour, secrecy, and consequence. Miriam Margolies. She is beloved for bold humor, her unmistakable voice, and unforgettable performances in film, television, and theatre, including Harry Potter. She found enduring love with Heather Sutherland, an academic she has been with since 1968, and their bond survived across countries, careers, and an unconventional way of living. Their long partnership shows that lasting love does not follow ordinary rules. Lily Tomlin. She is one of America's most beloved comedic actresses, celebrated for Laugh-In, Nashville, Grace, and Frankie, and a career built on intelligence and warmth. She found her life partner in writer Jane Wagner after they met in 1971, and together they built one of entertainment's most admired long-term relationships. After more than 4 decades together, they married in 2013. Linda Hunt. She is an actress of rare distinction, remembered for The Year of Living Dangerously, her unforgettable presence, and a career built on intelligence and depth. She found lasting love with Karen Klein, a psychotherapist she has been with since 1978, and their relationship endured through decades when privacy mattered deeply. They married in 2008 and remain quietly devoted today. Barry Manilow. He is a pop music legend whose songs, including Mandy and Copacabana, made him one of the most familiar voices in American entertainment. He found lasting partnership with Gary Keefe, a manager and executive, after they met in 1978 and slowly built a life together, away from public spectacle. After decades of commitment, they married in 2014 and remain together. Fiona Shaw. She is one of the most respected actresses of her generation, admired for commanding stage work and screen performances in Harry Potter, Killing Eve, and drama. She found love with Sonali Dhiraniagala, an economist and writer whose life carried depth and resilience, and the two formed a close bond in 2018. They married that same year and remain together. Liberace. He was one of the most flamboyant entertainers of the 20th century, a dazzling pianist and showman whose style made him unforgettable. In the early 1980s, he was involved with Scott Thorson, a much younger companion whose presence later became part of a painful public story. He died in 1987 at age 67, leaving behind brilliance, secrecy, and loneliness. Tab Hunter. He was one of the great blonde heartthrobs of 1950s Hollywood, remembered for Damn Yankees, Battle Cry, and the polished all-American image that made him a studio favorite. Behind that image, he built a lasting life with producer Alan Glazer, whom he began dating in 1983. Their relationship endured for 35 years, and they married in 2013. Jim Nabors. He was one of television's most beloved performers, associated with Gomer Pyle, USMC, and admired for the gentle humor and rich singing voice that made him familiar. He found love with Stan Cadwallader, a firefighter he met in the 1970s. After nearly 40 years together, they married in 2013. He died in 2017 at age 87. Colman Domingo. He has become one of the most respected actors of his generation, praised for Rustin, Euphoria, and a career shaped by dignity, depth, and emotional intelligence. He found lasting love with Raul Domingo, a writer and producer, after they met in 2005 and built a partnership marked by devotion and patience. They married in 2014 and remain together today. Thank you for spending this time with us. These stories remind us that fame can fade, appearances can change, and headlines can lose their power. But love, once lived with honesty and courage, leaves behind something greater. If one story stayed with you, We would love to hear which one touched you most in the comments.